Yo, what's good, beautiful people? It's your boy Baba J, and we are back with another episode of the Loud Retweet Show. And today is a special day. We are heading over to Stamford Bridge to go and play Chelsea. And am I excited? Am I nervous? Neither, to be honest. I'm just looking forward to football. Last few games I watched, obviously Man City last night, Real Madrid on the weekend. But yeah, I'm always excited to see my club play. But of course, before we get into that, in this episode, we are going to be previewing that semi-final tie. And we're also going to be looking back at some of the reactions to Real Madrid's game on the weekend and, of course, the sacking of Xavi Alonso, which for me was very sad and untimely. But it is what it is. It's the nature of the modern game. And of course, as usual, we are going to be laughing at Manchester United. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So yeah, I have to talk about this. I really have to. So if you guys didn't watch the game on the weekend, the Super Copa between Real Madrid and Barcelona, then you probably wouldn't know about this incident that happened after the game. But yeah, Xavi Alonso's authority completely undermined by Kylian Mbappe last night. He wanted the team to form a guard of honor for Barcelona. Mbappe refused, and the players listened to Mbappe. He had no choice but to leave after that. So yeah, there's different rumors coming out. Obviously, we're not going to get the full story unless a representative from the club or Xavi Alonso himself comes out and lets us know what the actual situation was behind him leaving. People are saying that he chose to leave, and when you see pictures like this, you understand why. Now, I think player power in the modern game of football is at an all-time high, especially when you're looking at the mega clubs of this world, your Real Madrids, your Manchester Uniteds, etc. But I do think it's really sad to see when Mbappe joined Real Madrid, a lot of people were saying that he was getting bullied, he was getting picked on, because Vinny was obviously the star there and there were other star players and he was having to come in and be one of the lads as opposed to being the leader. But when you look at images like this, it just goes to show how much his stature has grown within that Real Madrid dressing room to the point where he's able to undermine a legend of the game in Alonso, and not just the legend of the game, but someone who's proved himself as a manager as well, going unbeaten at Leverkusen. He is no chump when it comes to, his managerial career. And for me, it's just a sign of respect to be a gracious loser. Even though, you lost to your bitter rivals, don't be salty about it. Like, they beat you fair and square. Go over there, collect your second place medal, and just clap. It will not kill you. It won't hurt your pride. It won't hurt your ego. It just shows a bit of sportsmanship. So I was really disappointed to see Mbappe do this because I've been a big supporter and defender of Mbappe, over the years. But it's been something that's followed him throughout his whole career, this idea of him thinking he's bigger than the program. And to see how willing the Real Madrid players were to just follow him like sheep, it was really disappointing and sad to see. You don't want to see this kind of stuff in football. At the end of the day, the manager/coach is put there to lead the team. And that's exactly what he's meant to do. But this is a sign of what is going on in that dressing room at Real Madrid. The players don't listen. The players want to do what they want to do. And I feel like the president, Florentino Perez, has empowered them to be able to do this. And in my opinion, unless they go and get a manager who is Jesus Christ, yeah, these players are not going to listen. Because they had Carlo Ancelotti and he was having the same issue, and he's one of the greatest managers that we've ever seen in this sport. So, they've obviously gone and appointed Arbeloa now, but I don't think he's going to get much more respect than Alonso from this team. So I don't know. I don't even know what to say about this, other than the fact that it's sad. And I personally don't want to see this kind of stuff in the sport. But listen, that's Real Madrid. They are the biggest club in the world. They do have the biggest stars in the world playing for them. And when you have players that attract that much money and that are so good in terms of entertainment for the sport, the balance of power is just always going to tip in their favor unless the president puts his foot down and says, you know what, enough is enough. And we saw a similar thing happen at PSG, coincidentally, when Mbappe left. They went from this Galacticos model to investing in young players, to building a team as opposed to focusing on individuals. And then they went and won the Champions League. They empowered Enrique to do what he does best, which is to manage, to coach, to inspire. And they reap the benefits from that. And Real Madrid in recent times, they haven't been in peak form. So I don't know. Maybe it's time for a change. Will we see that change? I don't know. I highly doubt it. But as far as this season is concerned, we'll see. We'll see. Alrighty. So Manchester City played yesterday. Their first tie of the semi-finals against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. And Semenyo started again. It was a strong team that Pep Guardiola put out, which is understandable. This is the semis and they are playing Newcastle at St. James's Park. And boy, what a performance it was from Semenyo. Scored one goal, was heavily involved in the build-up for the second goal. And he actually had a goal disallowed, which I personally think was a bit strange, that VAR decision. Definitely re-refereeing the game. But it was ruled out. It is what it is. But I still have to come here and credit him for his performance. I think Doku was decent as well. I think he struggles sometimes with his end product. Well, sometimes, all the time. But you can't deny that he is a player that is incredibly skillful, does beat his man 9 times out of 10. And that can help you in a game when you're trying to build momentum and when you're trying to push the other team back, So I think they both played well. But I did find this picture funny because, of course, we have seen another pairing at Man City that did phenomenal things during their time in the Prem at the highest level, Sterling and Sane, So who knows what the future holds for Doku and Semenyo? Can they repeat what Sterling and Sane did? Who knows? A lot of people don't like to give credit to Sterling for what he accomplished as a player in this Pep Guardiola system and in the Premier League, and also for England. I think recency bias plays a part. We've seen him at Chelsea. We've seen him at Arsenal. He is a shell of his former self. And it doesn't help when he's earning the amount of money that he does as well, and he's not even making it onto the bench. But that being said, he is still an icon within the game of football, especially in England. And yeah, I'm really interested to see what these guys can do under Pep. I did a video recently saying that Man City aren't scary anymore. But when I see these two, I'm starting to get a little bit worried. Maybe that 6-point gap isn't as big as I thought it was. But nah, honestly, I'm not here to hate on Man City after they just won 2-0 against Newcastle. It was great performance, great win. And yeah, we've got to do our job now. It's not guaranteed that we're going to make it through to the finals to go and play these guys. So we've got a job to do tonight at Stamford Bridge. Hopefully we can go over there and take a lead back to the Emirates. So this stat for me is quite crazy. Arsenal have lost each of their last 4 semi-finals in all competitions. Going back all the way to 2021 in the Europa League, Liverpool, I think, what cup was that? That was probably the Carabao Cup. Newcastle, Carabao Cup last year. I was actually there for the fixture at the Emirates, and boy, it was one of the most frustrating games I've ever seen in my life. First half, we completely dominated, had many opportunities to score. I remember Martinelli hitting the post, but we didn't score. And then Newcastle went up the other end, caught us on a break and punished us and ended up winning 2-0, meaning that we had to go back to St. James's Park and hopefully try and get a victory. And what did we do? We went and lost there as well. So I think today is a massive, massive day, not just because we're playing Chelsea away, but because we need to kind of right our wrongs for our past sins. PSG in the Champions League, that one I can give a bit of a blight to, just because that was our first time reaching that late stage of the Champions League in many, many years. And we tried. We put up a good fight. Again, we weren't clinical, had many chances. But when you're playing in these competitions, you have to leave it all out there. And you can't be missing opportunities, because these teams will punish you. So Chelsea, they're missing quite a few players today. I believe Cole Palmer's going to be out. His groin injury is still acting up. Caicedo is suspended. Reece James, touch and go. Cucurella, same thing. And Gusto is also out. So, in my opinion, listen, although it's Stamford Bridge, I'm expecting us to go there and get the win. We have our own injury concerns. Calafiori's out, Hincapié is out, Mosquera's still out, Trossard is a doubt, Saliba's a doubt. But I do think Saliba will be fit. Hopefully Trossard is fit as well. But either way, we've got that squad depth now, and I expect Arteta to put it to good use today and get that dub. So yeah. So Dean James has said, if Arsenal don't beat Chelsea tonight, every rival fan base is celebrating like they won a trophy. That's how you know we're the ones setting the pace in England. Everyone else is just waiting for us to slip. And there is some truth to that in a sense that if we do draw or lose today, everyone will be salivating, licking their lips at the prospect of Arsenal stumbling. You know, it's just the reason for that I'm not too sure. Only they can answer, you know. For some people, it's just that we're rivals and they know many Arsenal fans and they want to laugh and banter at their Arsenal friends because we have been dishing it out a lot this season. So if we drop points, listen, it's only right for the rivals to come and laugh at us. Like, you can't be sensitive in football. You know, at the end of the day, it's a sport, it's entertainment, and we laugh at rival fans when they lose, and they're entitled to laugh at us when we lose or drop points. So it is what it is. But I'm hoping, I'm praying that that is not the case. We need to continue to put our foot on the neck of these people, man, because showing any signs of weakness is not a good thing, you know, especially when you see the signings that Pep is making over there at Man City. Semenyo's already come into that team and he's already having an impact. So we don't need to be giving them or their fans any reason to be getting excited. Even though it's a different competition to the Prem, we're in the semi-finals. And a lot of City fans will tell you that winning this Carabao Cup is the earliest cup that you can win in a season. It just helps with your momentum, your belief, that sports psychology going into the rest of the season. So I want to go out there, get an away win, and make a statement. Let's make a statement, guys. This is not the Arsenal of 2025, 24, 23, or whatever. This is a new Arsenal, and it's days like this where you need to prove it. You know what I mean? Doing all this talk is great, but it's cheap. The only way to really make a statement is to go out there and do it on the pitch. Do you get it? So this one here,
Loud retweet, fam.
the false nine has said, I think this might be the first January ever as an Arsenal fan where I'm not begging us to sign someone. Bizarre feeling. Credit to Berta in getting so much done in the summer. And yeah, listen, I will never shy away from an opportunity to give Andrea Berta credit. I've never seen Arsenal have a summer transfer window like the one we just had. And it was refreshing. You know, as a fan, sometimes you feel powerless, no matter what club you support. You watch your team week in, week out, and you know the issues and the problems that need to be solved within your team. But a lot of the time, the board or whoever's in charge just never makes the right decisions, you know, to really plug the holes that needed to be plugged. And then you end up suffering throughout the season. But I feel like this year, although we have suffered with so many injuries, you know, the squad depth that we have now, thanks to Berta, has allowed us to get through. And it is very refreshing, you know. But in regards to us not needing anybody, I'm not too sure about that. Obviously, right now, our defense is looking a bit depleted. We've got about 3 or so players out and others that are doubtful. So I would love to see us sign Mark Gahey. His contract is ending in the summer. But I do think Arsenal are probably going to wait to try and go in for that. But then we're going to have so much competition. You know, Liverpool probably still want him. Man City definitely want him. And there's other options in Europe that he can go to. But hopefully we can convince him. You know, we are a London club. He wouldn't have to move houses. His family wouldn't have to be separated, you know. So look at me. I'm acting as if I'm Andrea Better. Bro, hire me. Call me. If you need me to negotiate for you, I'll get it done. Yeah. But yeah, no, it is honestly refreshing. Like, I remember last January, we were crying and begging them to sign a striker. You know, now we've got 3 fit strikers, you know. I do think Gyökeres is probably going to start today. But we did see Havertz come back and get some minutes on the weekend, and that was nice to see. But yeah, ultimately, this one here.
Loud retweet, fam.
All right, so let's look into the lineup for today. So Arsenal, Rory Talks Football has said, my Arsenal lineup to face Chelsea, go strong, win the game, go strong again on the weekend and rotate against Inter. I hear it. I do hear it. This is an important game. The Champions League, we're top of the table. I think we can afford to rotate a little bit in that game. We are probably going to go through, so there's no point. Although it is Inter and they are a very capable team, I do think that is probably the game out of the next three to rotate. As for this game, Trossard, we don't know if he's going to be fit. There is some doubt on his fitness, so I'm not too sure about that one. But if he is fit, definitely start him. He's been our most informed attacker this season, and he definitely was rested on the weekend with Martinelli playing that game, with the majority of it at left wing. So I would love to see Trossard start this game. Gyökeres, who is the person I think Arteta is going to go with today. Personally, I think he should be dropped. But the only thing is Jesus and Havertz probably aren't back to full fitness. They've both been out for like a year, so just throwing them into it right now would probably be a wrong decision. So I would understand if he does go with Gyökeres up top, but me personally, I would start Jesus in this game. And Saka, again, he was rested on the weekend, so I would most definitely be starting him today. The midfield picks itself. Rice, Odegaard, Zubimendi, absolutely. And this is where I completely agree. Timber, for me, should start this game at left back. When it comes to attacking play from left back from Timber, it's not the greatest at all. He's most likely going to be sitting back. But if Chelsea play Esteval down that wing, I do not want to be seeing that up against Miles Lewis-Skelly. He's had a lack of game minutes this season, and I think it shows when he gets thrown into it. And on the weekend, for the first half, he was looking very shaky. In the last Prem game that we played, he was also looking very shaky. So that's not to criticize him as a player, but I do think, we have to respect the fact that he actually isn't a left back. He is a young player and he's hardly got any minutes this season. So I personally would start Timber at left back this game. Gabriel, he's back to full fitness, so he gets to start immediately, in my opinion. Saliba, we don't know if he's fully fit, but if he is fit, start him. And then Ben White, again, he's back to full fitness. I think him and Saka, their link up on that right side is beautiful, so that is exactly what I want to see. David Raya in goal. I'm not too sure. I think Kepa has been our cup competition keeper this season, and in my opinion, he's hardly put a foot wrong. So I would play him today. Obviously, he's playing up against Chelsea as well, his former team at Stamford Bridge. So I think he's going to have a lot to prove. But whoever we go with, I'm confident that they'll do a job. But I just think, rest David Raya. If there's a player that we're going to rest him today. Okay. But yeah, I somewhat agree with this lineup, but ultimately.
Loud retweet, fam.
All right. This is the last one. Can't go a whole episode without laughing at Manchester United. It would be so wrong of me. But yeah, Troll Football has said Mbuemo and Ahmad returning to Manchester United from AFCON. And it's so true, when you look at all of the chaotic things that have been happening since these two went to go and play for their countries in AFCON, it's crazy. Amarim's been sacked, which was a surprise to a lot of people in and of itself. And then Fletcher came in as a caretaker / interim. And now Carrick has been given the job. I don't think the Man United statement was very clear in regards to his role and how long the contract will be for. But right now, everyone's assuming it's just an interim contract and he'll be there for the rest of the season. But they've dropped points against Wolves, Leeds, Burnley, and they are now out of the FA Cup. So I wouldn't say the house was burning before they went to AFCON, but the pot was starting to overflow. It was looking a bit dangerous. But now, by the time they've come back to walk into an absolute furnace, Manchester United and Old Trafford is burning down. But can these guys come in and help save the day? Did they bring that fire extinguisher with them? I hope so, as an Arsenal fan, because who are they playing next? Manchester City at Old Trafford. And as much as we've been laughing at Man United fans this season, we're going to have to be their friends this weekend and support them, because it would be amazing, absolutely exquisite, if they could do us a favor in that game and take some points off Manchester City. Do I think it's going to happen? No. Carrick has literally just walked into the room and I don't even know what he's going to do. I hope they can get something for me. Please, come on, lads. Yeah, we're backing you. We're supporting you, my African brothers. Yeah. So shout out Troll Football. This one here, it made me chuckle, made me laugh. And ultimately, this one right here.
Loud retweet, fam.
But yeah, so that has been the Loud Retweet show, guys. A bit shorter than usual today. Obviously, we're previewing the game that is tonight. So I need to go and get these videos clipped up and uploaded to YouTube Shorts. But yeah, if you like this video, drop a like. Please make sure you subscribe. The subscribe button is right down there. Turn on your post notifications. And if you can, go follow me on all social media. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.
It's what the world been missing right here.